Today is January 20th, 2021, and it's a day in history in which we all will remember. However, today as I was just praying and meditating and just feeling a very disturbed spirit, um, I began to just ask God, what is this? And this is something that I've been feeling now for a moment, but today it just reached its zenith in terms of um, just how increasingly um, heavy it was getting. And as I was off and on, I turned on the television maybe a couple of times for the inauguration, and God said to me, cut it off. And He said, I need to speak to you. And as I was sitting and just listening quietly to what God said, He said a number of things. He said that those of you who are spiritual, you're getting so involved and caught up in this election and the result of this election that you cannot see spiritually. Some of you are into because it's your sorority sister. Some of you are into it because you're saying this is the first Black female to be vice president, and in fact, the first female to be vice president. And while all of that may be okay in some ways, it's not okay with God. And it's not okay that those of you who are still holding on to this self-imagined righteousness of Trump, President Trump, he said, that's not right. And so it's wrong being done and said on both sides of the aisle. And that's why God is saying, get to the middle so you can see me and stop seeing all these political myths and things that the enemy is allowing to come in. Because first of all, God did ordain President Trump and set him in the White House. But He set him there as a child. And most of you remember 2017, between 2017 and 2018, God gave me that post, and I think it's still up on my page now, about a child being in the White House. And that is all we have seen throughout President Trump's term is childishness. And what God wanted us to see and to know is that when our behavior goes to the level of being childish and selfish, He's just like a kid who says, I want it all for me, or whatever I say, you've got to do, otherwise you can't play with my toys. You can't come over. We've seen that in him. But God allowed him to be there for 4 years so that we might be able to see ourselves in him. Some of us are childish, selfish, all about ourselves. We got to be right. And when we're not right, we take up our little marbles and whatever and go home and say, I can't play with you. I don't want to be with you. In terms of President Biden, God said he has a heart after God. He said he is a man with a tender heart. And God said that is why He put him and allowed him to be in the White House, because of his heart. But God also said this. He said, pray that he lives his 4 years out. Pray that he lives his 4 years out. And He said that He's admonishing spiritual leaders who are jumping on the bandwagon. Some of y'all are following stuff that just so that you can say, I am a part of the president's whatever, his advisors, or I got to appear on this, or all kinds of reasons that make us or make you feel like you're so grand and so powerful. But you better understand this, that it is better not to show up with the presidents and be on the right side of God than to show up and be on the wrong side. And many of you went to the White House, even under the President Obama's administration. But did you talk to him? When the covenant of marriage was being broken? Did you talk to him? Did you tell him that God understands what has happened to many in the lifestyle? who have been molested from early on in their lives. But he will never allow his covenant of marriage to be broken. But did you go there and speak that to the president? No. You were so busy being super important because you got there. So that blood is on your hands. Pastors, religious leaders, it's on your hands. And now President Biden is in the White House. And God said he's raising up men and women who will speak truth to him so that he does not err, because his heart is in the right place. God said to tell you that. And so for those of you who are saying he is not your president, it doesn't matter what you say. God said he is the president. Just like he allowed for Trump to sit for 4 years, he has allowed for President Biden to sit for 4 years. Stop and think about it, and stop being separated by what you see or don't clearly see. And that's why I've learned to shut up until I see and hear from God. And even when I see and hear from him, I'm saying, God, I got to be sure. I got to be sure. I got to be sure. And 80% of what I see and hear, I don't share, because I don't need anyone to confirm what I said came to pass or whatever, because it ain't what I said anyway. It's what God has given that comes to pass. But pray for him. And also understand this, that anything that can whisper in his ears, anybody that's close enough to him to cause him to go contrary to what his heart, the God heart in him, is saying, we need not align with it. We need not align with it. And we better be very, very careful right now, because we're in the last days. Do not mistake it. We are in the last days. COVID is the first plague. It's the first plague. But there are 6 more that are coming. And these are the plagues that are going to cause revival within the people of God. It's going to cause revival all over, universal. You've never seen a plague like this, where every country is impacted. It's because there is a call for universal revival. And where there is universal revival, there has to be a universal stir. God has to do something universally in order to get all of our attentions. And COVID is it. And God has allowed for some good people, good righteous people, good God-fearing people to leave here as a result of COVID. But that was because it was their time. And let me tell you something, they're rejoicing. They don't want to come back here. They don't want you crying because they left. Because if you notice, it's mostly good people that are being taken out in COVID. But this next plague that's coming, it won't be the same. It will not be the same. But God he's merciful, and he keeps giving chances to us. But God is going to start touching the church, those false prophets in the church, those preachers and pastors who are gods themselves, who have made gods out of themselves, who care nothing except for the tithes and the offering. You have built mansions and great dynasties, financial dynasties, off of the tithes and offerings of God's people, instead of using it to feed the hungry, shelter those that are out, be a blessing to the elderly people, do the things in the earth for the children that are left without fathers and mothers, or don't have the resources to even survive. But instead, you made yourself rich in as gods. And God said, I will not stand any longer. He said, I will not stand any longer to see this happening. So you're going to start seeing some big falls, some major falls. And these are going to be among those who have led sheep. And some of you are so gullible. All you got to do is hear somebody tell you, oh, you're going to be blessed. And so you pour out all your money in the offering plates and then go home and can't even pay your rent. Don't even have money for food. And y'all still giving based upon these thieves in the pulpit who are telling you, if you give, you'll be blessed. And they're the only ones ending up being blessed. Wake up, wake up. God said he's not going to tolerate you being fools and being stupid anymore. He says, shake yourself out of the foolishness. Shake yourself up out of it. And God today is saying to us, wake up spiritually. Wake up. And I know that I've tried not to even go on Facebook because everybody's giving all these accolades and praises, but there were plenty symbolisms of the infiltration of Lucifer, fallen angels, and demons, even in today. And some of you caught it in some of the things. Some of you caught it in the people who were used for today. Some of you caught it in the people who were selected to speak for you spiritually. Some of you caught it. But some of you are too blind to see it. But you better wake up. You better wake up. For your redemption draweth nigh. And stop taking sides with people. I take no sides with people. I love my daughter. But if my daughter is wrong, I do not take sides with her. There are many of you I love, but if you are wrong, I do not take sides with you. Doesn't mean that I stop loving you, but I don't love you enough to jeopardize my soul. And neither do I love you enough to go against truth. You better start looking at the symbolisms, okay? Because in the last days, go back and read your Bible. That woman that is spoken of in Zechariah, who was put in the basket with the lid tightened, and the two angels took her to a place and said she would be there for a time and season until the end times when God would cause the lid to come off the basket. That is about to happen. Spiritual wickedness is symbolic of the female. I know a lot of us don't like that, but it's truth. Because it was the daughter of God who fell and procreated with Lucifer himself and fallen angels who were then demonic and produced a demonic race. And we're still impacted by that even today. And so that spirit of the wicked woman is a cunning spirit. It's one that shows up in ways in which you don't see it at first. You don't know it at first. And that's why women, we have to be so careful. We have to be so careful that the enemy does not use us. We have to remember that we are the fallen daughter of God who is redeemed by the Son of God, Jesus Yeshua Messiah. He came down and he redeemed us. And if you don't get this, you better start reading and understanding. We are the fragmented pieces of the daughter of God that Ezekiel talks about in the 37th chapter. Will these bones live again? Will they come back together? God said, yes. Revival in the last days is going to bring every fragmented piece of her that is redeemable, and wishes to be redeemed. He's bringing it back. And the daughter of God, the Bible said the former dominion of the daughter of God shall be returned to her. And so the church is a female. Christ can't marry another man. I don't care what y'all are teaching. I don't care what y'all are doing. But male cannot marry another male. And female cannot marry another female. And I say this in love to my gay sons and daughters. Y'all know I love you. But I love you enough to tell you the truth. And I also love you enough to exercise grace to you, because I know of the molestation that has happened in your life. I know about even the fathers and the mothers who have molested you or allowed you to be molested, even to the point before you could even speak. And so your sexual orientation is, it's confused. And God is extending mercy to you, but don't go too far. That mercy can't catch you. Don't go too far. That mercy can't keep you and reach you. And I'm going to leave that there. But for those of y'all who are all out here doing all this stuff, you better stop for a moment. What you should be doing is on your knees praying. Because I don't care who's in the White House. They cannot control your destiny, your fate, and your soul. And in the days to come when the other plagues are being released, I don't care who's in the White House, as president or vice president. They don't have any power to stop what God commands. And so get your eyes off of either Biden or Harris. And get your eyes off the fact that she may be your Soros sister. Hold her to righteousness. Hold him to righteousness. And when you see them not abiding in that righteousness, don't you dare risk your soul's salvation by taking sides and still upholding them because they are your Soros sister, or they're your fraternity brother, or whatever, or because they're white or black, Democratic, or whatever. It ain't about any of that. It's not about that, but it's about you looking to God and having a spirit of discernment. I have never in my life seen the so-called people of God who are lacking spiritual discernment. But you know why you're lacking spiritual discernment? Pastors, teachers, and missionaries, because you failed to teach the people. You got caught up in this prosperity thing. Name it and claim it. And God is angry. I didn't say he was just displeased. He's angry with church leadership, and you're going to start to see the wrath of God come down on church leadership. God said, because I said judgment is going to first come in the household of God. And this prelude of the deaths, that was not judgment. These were some good people that were taken up out of the church, because God said, well done, thou good and faithful servants, enter into my rest. You've already gone through so much. You've already been through things. I don't want you going through this season. So I'm taking you out first before I begin judgment in the house of God. Judgment has started. And if you don't believe it, watch and see what's going to come in the days, the weeks, the months, and the years to come. But it's going to spark revival, because in all of this, God's going to remove the wolves in sheep clothing. And he is raising up the men and women of God to take the helm and the leadership, who will speak unadulterated truth despite the cause, and will go back to the foundations of the word of God and preach the word. Yes. And he's also raising up his prophets and prophetess, people who are not afraid to speak. I know some of y'all are saying, well, you're getting on here and saying this and you're running for mayor. So what? So what? If I can't speak truth prophetically, and I've got to deny who I am spiritually in order to be your mayor, then I don't want to be your mayor. I want y'all to understand that, Chattanoogan's. I don't need to be your mayor if it means compromising what I know is right from wrong. I will not do it. I will never do it. But I'll stand firm, loving you, loving the citizens of Chattanooga, but telling you the truth and doing all that I know within my power to do good and to be an example of God in the earth. I love you. I'm going to get off now. And I thank God that, he told me, put on gold today. And everybody knows that I wear pearls every day. Has nothing to do with a sorority honey, pearls were already given to the women of God and the daughter of God before the foundation of the world. So it has nothing to do with anybody's sorority. And no, I'm not a member of a sorority. I love those who are members of a sorority, but God always told me you can't do that because I don't ever want you to bring division to the point where you're divided into one group as opposed to another group. But it's those of you who are, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anything negative about you. I'm just saying that God said to me, I had an opportunity to be a part of two sororities. But God said, no, never, never. You stay free because you got to love everybody. And you've got to show yourself to be a sister to everybody and not just to those to whom you are in a sorority with or in a club with, a group or whatever. So as I complete this, God said, put on gold today. Don't put on anything except for gold, because gold symbolizes being tried in the furnace. That furnace has been turned up higher than you could ever imagine, burning out the impurities. That's what gold is. And God wants us to seek to be gold, gold, gold. Because no matter what you do to gold, it remains gold. Because gold is pure. And so let's seek to be, not just to be, but to have lives that exemplify that being tried in the furnace 10 times, 100 times hotter than before, but coming out as pure gold. God bless all of you. And may you understand, I'm praying that God will take what I've said and show it to you in love. And I know it may have been given to you forcefully, but that's the way God gave it to me. And he would not let me rest. And I kept saying, God, I got things I got to do today. He said, but you got to do this. And before I knew it, I was before you, giving you what God says. God bless you, God bless you, God bless you. God keep you, God keep you, God keep you. And may God open your eyes, open your eyes, open your eyes, and open your ears, open your ears, open your ears, so that you might hear and see truth, truth, as we go forward from this day.